Hey everyone, it's Timid Falconet, and I am back with another episode of Road to 1.2k at this point. Today's episode is going to be this Tier 1 Fog match on Chosen versus AWBW. I feel like I've done a match on Chosen before, but it wasn't actually in my thumbnail depository for whatever reason. Like, the map wasn't even there. So I'm gonna have to go over it pretty quickly, and then we can get started. So, actually, I think I know the reason why. I'm pretty sure I lost a replay on this, or two on this map. And it also looks pretty close to Stalingrad. I'm gonna double check. But it does have a very similar feel to Stalingrad. I'll let that search in the background. But basically, you've got your three bases in the corner, well, your production areas in the corners, your comm towers, which are sort of contested. You got your long lines of yeah. So here's Stalingrad. It's sort of a similar feel. It's less of an island sort of thing, though. So yeah, you got more islands on Chosen. So the important thing for Chosen is you got the harbors for a black boat maybe to get you there, or just getting a transport copter or two even. I'd say two or even actually working on this on this map, not chapter. On this map, I'm thinking too much with Fire Rumble Brain. But yeah, even like two transport copters are pretty good in this this map, because you can send them north to these two properties, you can send them west to these two properties. All in all, pretty easy to. This is actually a really, really good transport copter map. You could also opt for a black boat if you want to save production for air units like battlecopters and such, which to be honest, I feel like you do have the income to be able to do battlecopter spam a little bit. It's fog, and the center area isn't exactly the best for battlecopters, so do keep that in mind. I'd say on a map like this, it's probably better to just go for anti-air rather than battlecopters, but you do have the money for battlecopters, like, let's see, 36, 48, 50, 52, 26, yeah, 26k income is pretty good. It's enough that you can start spamming out battlecopters every day if you really want to. It would be a battlecopter plus 2 tanks at par, plus, yeah, battlecopter, 2 tanks, and an infantry at par, or even, I think that's enough for like 2 anti-air even, if you wanted. Like, just barely enough. Of course, grabbing the islands is going to be super important. And you can also just seize these harbors here to get a black boat out pretty easily. Like, a black boat from here can take an infantry from here to this island in one turn. So you can just build and then send it there rather than waiting for a transport copter to get all the way over from your airport. The only thing is, like, black boats are pretty expensive. But the good thing about black boats, at least, is they can repair your other units. So, especially if you're dealing with, like, a Hawke mirror, which is a scenario, and you're going to be dealing with damaged units, especially, like, well, depending on how the Hawke mirror goes. If you're the first person to fire off, of having a black boat to help repair your units can be very, very helpful. And yeah, that's kind of it. I don't believe there are lab units for this map. No, I don't think so. I can check real quick. Yeah, so if I load, yeah, no lab units. Okay. Stealths are allowed on this map actually, but honestly, I don't think they're that great because the map's maybe a little bit too big for it. Actually, and it's too open for it as well. Especially like, because you could easily just get a fighter from here, and then like in a turn or two, it'll be able to deal with the stealth real easily. So, too expensive, not worth it. Bombers, I could maybe see the argument for, but stealths, no, they're kind of crappy on this map. Just because the airport is pretty centrally located, so you can just send out a fighter really, really damn easily to deal with it. Anyways, I think that's it. Well, actually, I want to go over the map analysis real quick. So for tier 1, that's going to be Hawke, Von Bolt, basically. Von Bolt's at 50, Hawke's at 58. And the reason Hawke, I think, is the choice for this in tier 1, this is a fog map, is just because there's just so much income on the map. Like, he's just going to be, Hawke's just going to be, it's just too good. Like, getting an extra 20% and deleting 20% of your opponent's army is just too good to pass up on this map. So Hawke, I think Sasha isn't bad actually, because Sasha can like interrupt. There's a lot of income on this map as well. So what did I say? It was like 52 total, so 26. That's an extra 2,600 for Sasha. And especially considering that, again, like against Hawke, I feel like she'd be pretty good as well, because she's going to be able to constantly interrupt his power, so that never pops off. And she's going to be ahead, like 2,600 in income, which it doesn't sound like a lot on paper, but it does make it easier for her to build more expensive units, build maybe an extra tank every couple of turns. So it is actually pretty important. That extra 2,600 income from her is actually pretty important. I think that's it for tier. I guess Javier exists, but like no. But like Von Bolt isn't even that good on this map, so Javier is like definitely not an option. And there's no real artillery play on this map. Oh, Grit. No. God no. Why would you bring Grit to this map? He's not gonna be able to see anything. No. Bad idea. But yeah, this is top, so. Why isn't it loading? Okay, well, whatever. No, it's taking forever to load. Okay, there we go. Yeah, top is all of these guys. Oh, Sturm. The thing about Sturm is this map is fairly open. Like, there's a tree there, there's a tree there, there's a tree there, so, like, the forests do block you a little bit as anyone except for Sturm. The issue is, like, the HQ is too close to the production areas, I think, for Sturm to actually be able to contest this. I feel like even the comm towers may be a bit too far away for Sturm to be contesting, because the production centers are just too close to it. If this were maybe on this tile instead, and we're a bit further from these bases, maybe I could see the argument for Sturm, because the forests being able to go past those forests really quickly does make Sturm decent. It's just, I don't think that there's anything for him that he can just easily seize, so that's why he's down at 45% win rate. Because Sturm is more of an HQ rush type CO. Even though he's defensive, he's more of like an HQ rush type. Or comm tower rush, actually. He can seize the comm tower and then he'll keep a hold of it, and then you're kind of fucked. But yeah, that's it for all the preamble and stuff. Let's go ahead and get started with the replay. Well, yeah, my mic is on. Thank God. I just recorded a freaking Engageless episode in which I didn't have a mic on for the opening bit. Thankfully, it was like a Somnial episode, so it doesn't really matter, but... Anyways, so starting off here, obviously going for the base first. I think that we go for the airport and then maybe even the harbor as well pretty early on our priorities, because there's a lot of income on this map. That means that it's basically like it's good to get this anyways, because like normally in like sort of standard funds play, you don't really need to prioritize the airport that crazily. You still want to get it pretty early, because just to give you that option, right? But especially on this map where the transport copters are going to be coming into play really heavily, you're definitely going to want to grab this as early as you can. So my opponent went for the recon early on, which is kind of interesting. He's not going to be able to tank chain really, so that's a interesting thing to start out with his build order. I do think that the recon early on, like this map is big enough that early recon can be helpful, especially when you're just dealing with like infantry early on. It's just you're gonna have to be able to bring in tanks to start to deal with it. And I have enough money to start like tank chaining, so I'm doing it in the north to deal with this. I sort of kind of actually anticipated he would go for the recon here because it's going to be scouting out his comm tower, making sure that it's all secured and stuff. That was more so what I was kind of thinking of was going to happen. So continuing to go march my infantry forward, and now my tank is like covering all this area. So pretty much, if he moves in with the recon, that would be a very bad move for him. It would be a really aggressive move too. So yeah, he falls back, obviously. Because it's just not worth it to get rid of your recon bat. Just throw away your recon like that immediately, and he recognizes that. He's getting the transport copter out as well. So he's got a decent build order. His tanks are sort of spaced apart a little bit, which isn't like the best right now, but I think it's fine overall. Next I go for anti-air plus recon. So I go tank, anti-air. That's a decent build order on it. Especially like condensed production areas like this is just tank, anti-air. That way you deal with any weird little early battlecopter stuff. You're covered for that. Plus, like, there's a lot of infantry spam early game, so getting an anti-air out is pretty useful just to be able to deal with them pretty easily. And as you can see, he's actually going for battlecopter pretty early on. This is the other reason for getting the anti-air is this is a very high funds map, so kind of expecting the battlecopter a little bit. Especially because the other thing that I forgot to mention about battlecopters is they can contest these. They're like one of the only ways you can contest these islands, actually. So they are actually very, very good for doing that. So you don't even necessarily want them to be fighting in the main island. You sort of want them to be skirmishing on these tertiary islands a little bit. And yeah, now I'm spreading out my anti-air a little bit here so that I have basically everywhere covered with the anti-air as soon as I can get it. Alright, so he's moving in fairly conservatively with his tank here. He actually darts out of range of my tanks, annoyingly, with his recon here. So that's actually really annoying. I'm going to move into vision range of his recon with the tank. So now this is like zoning out this entire area. So now he knows that if he wants to go after my tank, he'll lose with his recon. He'll lose it, basically, is what I'm trying to. Well, at any of these infantry, basically, he'll end up losing his recon for it. And I'm spreading out my tanks a little bit as well. Here I've got my tanks sort of lined up like this, just in case he has a tank in the back here and he wants to go for my tank. I have this guy to back it up. But I also have like the anti-air and stuff over here. So I think at this point I go for tanks. Yeah, I start pumping tanks out in the south because I am a little bit exposed down here. And I am sort of just waiting on this line here, not really trying to push too heavily down here until I get tank support. He's going for an artillery. I believe that's because that's all he could afford more than anything else. Like, it's not the greatest, but whatever. Yeah, and he's just falling back a little now that he's out of the tank, so he can't really do much in this area right now. Okay, so he's going for another battlecopter and a recon at this point. So right away, you're sort of seeing a bit of a battlecopter spam, and sending them into the center isn't really necessarily the best idea here. But we'll see in a second how this works. So I'm at 20% firepower because I have the comm tower. Where is it? Yeah, I've got this at this point. So I'm able to just move in like that and take out his infantry. I have a recon there to back me up. Got infantry here. Got my anti-air, and then my tanks are moving in. I can always fall back to my tank line if I need to. But since I've got 21k in the bank at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and get triple tanks. Because I've already got anti-air guarding everywhere. I've already got... Like, the only thing that I sort of need to shore up is my tank count at this point. So he's moving in. Takes out my infantry. So basically a 1-to-1. 1-for-1 infantry skirmish there. And like what he could do here is just move in with his tanks against my infantry, but he's just holding back for now, waiting for the artillery to get here, I guess, and the battlecopters as well a little bit. He sees my anti-air, so he's like, "Fuck that! I'm heading this way with my battlecopters." But what he doesn't know is that I got a second one back, so don't really need to worry about that. And here's the good part about having an anti-air in both areas is I'm able to just start taking out his infantry in this area. So that's going to be pretty important. I'm actually going for the comm tower here, not really expecting to get it because I know he's got infantry in the area and we both got 20% firepower, so all he needs to do is attack it twice with infantry to take me off of it, but at least I'm softening them up a little bit, right? So I'm moving there. I'm actually going for the cap there. And I weakened that guy on the road. I trapped myself on this guy, but I've got a little bit of a infantry line going on over here. Moving in with the anti-air to guard all of this. And I'm starting to move in with my tanks as well. I've got 4 down here at this point. I've got this guy here to start boosting this guy down to the south a little bit. And then I've got 2 recons as well because, well, I don't have one up here, I don't think, and I'm kind of expecting this one to go down. So there's all that. And then I'm also got enough money to be able to afford a battlecopter finally. Like I said, partially to skirmish in these areas, partially because, I mean, unit count, right? Unit count's always good. So yeah, he kicks me off of the comm tower there. Moves onto this spot as well. He's got another transport copter ready. Takes out my infantry, which I exposed down there, and starts pushing over here, actually. So he moves in with both his battlecopters and his tank. And at this point, I'm like, oh, okay. That's pretty aggressive. I don't actually get to see his artillery. I forget if I accounted for that or not. No, I didn't. So I just move in like that, take out the battlecopter, start seizing, get a good first strike off there. If I fall back a little bit with the rest of my infantry as much as I can to sort of keep this area under control with my tanks, because I am moving in with a lot of tanks here in a second. So I get some good shots off here, because like at this point, once he's moved in like crazy there with his tanks and the battlecopters and everything there, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have much in this area up in the north. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to move in for free with the tank here, and I was able to do so. Finally getting my transport copter down to these islands down here. The islands are pretty important, but as you can see here, since I've been pretty aggressive with my capture game, I've been able to just start sweeping, and I've got a 5k income lead right now over him. Which is kind of insane, actually. So it's going to allow me to get, start battlecopter spamming, actually, at this point. Just a little bit. Which is going to be great for contesting the battlecopters that he does have left down here, because that's basically it. That's all he has left. He doesn't actually take out my infantry here, which is unfortunate for him. Kicks me off of that city, but I've already capped it, so it doesn't matter anymore. Gets a decent first strike here, there, and does finish off my anti-air, so now I sort of have to deal with that stuff. Doesn't actually finish off my infantry there, so I have this guy to throw around for a vision, which is pretty good. He's got a lot of stuff in this area there, so question here is whether I fall back more or if I let him, or if I go in here. And right now we're getting pretty close to our at least little powers, so that is always an option, is to just pop little power and kill as many vehicles as you can. As Hawke, just take the initiative, assume that you're gonna take the Black Storm on the back foot, obviously, but be able to get a good amount of damage off to start out with. So taking out all of his units up in this area. And then I go for the cap here again to try and sort of draw out his units a bit, force him to move in up there. So I go for the attack there with the battlecopter, actually. Finish it off with my infantry. Get a good first strike off over here. Well, actually take out the tank entirely because I've got tanks aplenty down here. Take out the recon. Well, not quite. Yeah, and then I'm just moving in with my other units here. So I don't actually go for the early black wave because it is kind of a bit early to do that, especially in a Hawke mirror. Like, and it's not a good idea to waste it. I'd say it's probably better to just go for a standoff, where you're both just holding on to your black waves, because the issue with Hawke mirrors like this is if you pop yours and you don't really do much damage with your units, he can just pop his in response and heal all that damage off, right? So, well, he's actually going for it. So he pops Black Wave here, and I think he does get a good amount of damage off here even. Takes out that guy, takes out the battlecopter, but honestly, I feel like a lot of this is unnecessary. Like, he is able to take out my infantry there, sort of neuter my tank. Get a good first strike off there with the infantry. Oh, and then I guess interrupted both of these caps with that, which was, I think that's fine. Getting really good first strike there and actually take out the tank even. So I was maybe a bit lax in my placement of that guy. Oh, you know why? Oh yeah, I was very aggressive with that tank, actually. I was kind of expecting to be able to get onto this city, but I think I got trapped with it, didn't I? Should have probably paid more attention to that, but whatever. So I got punished for that pretty hard. Fortunately for me, I do have the reinforcements ready in the back here, and I am going to be able to just pop my superpower here in a second. So he is ahead for right now, but it's only marginally. And the issue is I just have such a high income advantage right now that I'm just going to be able to overwhelm him at this point, I think. So I popped my super immediately, which is going to allow me to start capping, well, continue capping these things pretty easily. So I've got these caps still going. I join cap there, so he's going to have to go pretty hard to keep the comm tower. I just kill there, fall back with the tank, and then I just move in. Because like, at this point, may as well. I finish off the anti-air with my battlecopter. He doesn't really have any battlecopters in range, unfortunately for him. But even if he did, they'd be weakened fighting into a full health one, which, I mean, it's not like the worst thing. Because you're at like 8 health. But it's more of like an even trade at that point, so yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the best move to just charge in with a weakened battlecopter like that. That's part of why global damage COs like Hawke and Olaf and even Drake are really, really good, is because they just weaken everything. And they're especially good against air units because you can't really send them back for repairs on the front line. Your tanks you can just leave onto cities, and sure, you'll take a massive hit to your income, but you can still sort of deal with it to an extent. but yeah. And he decides to just let me take the comm tower for some reason here. Don't know why, but he does do that, so I'm not gonna like look a gift horse in the mouth for that. I'm just gonna take it. Obviously. Like, I'm able to grab this guy here, start killing things, and I do the thing that I always do, which is I forget to grab the comm tower, but I think most of these engagements it doesn't really matter for. This one it sort of might have mattered a little bit. I don't think I would have killed anyways. Yeah, so I finally get the comm tower, and at this point I've got 30% firepower, which is really good. It's really solid at this point. I've got battlecopters moving in here. There's infantry that's getting trapped a little bit, but like whatever. Yeah, so 32-24. At this point, it's not really looking good for Gaviota. But he is able to keep on fighting a little bit here. It's just, the issue is, now I've got both comm towers and I'm up 6k in income. And while it is sort of difficult to tell in fog, and also he took a massive black storm. He's still trying to recover from the black storm. I think he definitely popped his power off way too early there. Like he gets another one off here actually, which is very good. So he does recover a little bit off of that, but it's not enough to get him to like make this a better, more of a return cap anyways. So I'm going to be able to hold on to this still. Shut up. Oh, and I got a black boat over here. Mainly to just start ferrying this infantry over here, start taking these, because I do need some infantry reinforcements over here at this point. Like, sort of. When I say need, it's a very light, it's a very vague description of the word need, right? So I kick him off there, and the important thing about putting this tank here is it's also stopping his infantry from moving into to help recover that, and I actually finish him off with my infantry there as well. So they're not going to be able to move onto this tile with the infantry either way. Yeah, so just keep him moving in. He gets a good first strike off there with his battlecopter, so he takes out my battlecopter there. And at this point, he's sort of has free reign in this area for a little bit with the battlecopters. He's actually, as far as like control of the area with the units goes, he's got enough tanks in this area that he can just stomp me for a little bit here. Like he takes out my recon. He doesn't actually even quite take out my battlecopter, but it's dead next turn because it's surrounded by infantry and stuff. Takes out my infantry, and he's actually pushing back pretty aggressively here. It's just the only issue for him is not going to be able to capture. So every turn that passes here, I'm just going to be able to keep on building more and more units, and eventually I'm going to be able to overwhelm him. So he finally goes for a medium tank, actually. I think he's going to send it to the north to deal with those tanks, but honestly, I don't think he even necessarily needs it, but whatever. So I take out the battlecopter. Move it down here with the transport. Yeah, got this guy here to start healing, which is important, because at this point, this is where the unit count is going to be starting to steamroll, right? And at this point, I'm just saving up for another Black Storm, because I'm like, okay, I'm in the lead. I can afford to just keep on letting this stuff go on. So that's fine by me. And he goes ahead and resigns here. So, he didn't even he didn't finish off my battlecopter. Should have finished off a battlecopter at least. Well, either way, yeah, he's at 20k. He's about to dip below 20k. Is it gonna be next turn? No, in a little bit. But like, I got so much money, and I think what really sealed the deal for me here was just being aggressive with my infantry, and then I was very I played really well in this northern area here with my units just covering everything. He had his early recon, which I think he moved in here to try and deal with my infantry a little bit. And like he got a good shot off with the recon, but he wasn't actually able to be aggressive at all in this area because I had 2 tanks in this area. So that allowed me to seize a lot of territory up here. I was able to seize a lot of territory down here as well. Like I already got 23k here. Like I don't know what he was doing with his capture game. He was kind of slacking. Like there's so many properties here that he could have gotten pretty easily, especially considering I was sort of staying back here more or less with my infantry, well, with my tanks and stuff, and he just didn't end up putting enough infantry in this area, I think, to be able to move in properly. Even though he had like the tanks, the artillery, even the anti-air battlecopter to be able to push in here, he wasn't aggressive enough here. Like what he should have done was start guarding his captures here with his tanks and stuff. Like he had the opportunity here to just move in with his tanks. I think he was just maybe a little bit scared that I had tanks or something in the back line here. But like he should have known that. Like you saw my 1 tank here. I guess maybe he was expecting a tank here to get a first strike on him, but like he has 2 tanks in this area, so he can always just chain off of that. Plus he had the battlecopter as well. Like he definitely should have pushed over here, because I was able to just counter the push with I was basically able to prevent him from capturing like these 2 properties, and that alone I think ended up flipping the game. I was even able to seize a couple of them. But yeah, and then I think the power pop here was a bad idea, because I don't think it really gave him anything. Well, okay. So let's see. Out of the power pop, he's got this guy into here. That's, let's say 59 plus 25. Okay, I'm starting to see why. Toward now. Oh, he's got the recon too, right? Like the recon's probably dead anyways. So 59 plus 25 is 70, 84 plus. Actually, this is obviously going to be going down to 2, I think. So the recon at 1 health. Actually, I don't think it's going to be able to do anything. Okay. That's unfortunate for him. Yeah, so he was kind of forced to move in there almost. Interesting. Yeah, because well, I still think it wasn't the best move. Just like this turn, like it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong, he took out my battlecopter. He was able to keep vision here for a little bit, and I was able to take out a couple of my units, but like I was able to push in response really well this next turn. So I think that was a good move. Yeah, overall, that was a really good move. Those were all good moves. It's just, I had a tank in the back here. I had the anti-air as well. Forget what I did up here. Well, I've got this guy moving, and I got the battlecopter moving in. Right? Oh, and the Black Storm just weakened him, I think, is what happened. What did I do with that tank? Okay, so yeah, I move in like that. And I'm sort of guarding these areas. He still sort of has to move in here, but he's not really able to move in. The other issue is like that power didn't give him enough. That's the other thing about Hawke mirror matches, which is kind of it's kind of like really annoying is like if you go for the early power or even the super power to start out with, if you aren't able to chew enough off of your opponent, you're just gonna pop his super, heal it all off, and then damage you in return, and you're kind of screwed at points. So yeah, I think that's about it. Well played, my friend, though. Let's see. What do I have next in stock? Let's see. Okay, next one. Oh, actually, I think we're already, like, back up to where I am, more or less, in the present. Because some of these matches have been taking quite a while. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to this freaking match, which is unfortunate because it was actually a good match. It's just I forgot to save it, I think. Oh wait, no, I got it. Never mind. Don't worry. I think it's the next one maybe that I forgot to save. Or maybe I've got it too. Oh, no, I've got all of these, actually. That's perfect. Caustic and... Okay, perfect. So next episode is going to be this Fog tier 3 match on Seashoals versus Rachel. It'll be Sonya versus Rachel, and it'll show off... I mean, Sonya should be good on small maps in theory, right? Anyways, that's what we're going to be doing next time. If you enjoyed, do go ahead and like and subscribe and all that other nonsense. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you a lot for watching. Yeah.